introduction and for her leadership in the County Board of Commissioners. I want to thank Josh Shapiro, and I want you to elect him the next Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I want to thank the State Democratic Party Chairman, Marcel Grones, for his longtime friendship and support, and all the young people who are here working for Hillary. Nathaniel Lewis talked at the beginning, but I'm grateful to all of you. And Dr. Kevin Pollack, thanks for having us at Montgomery County Community College. If you think about this community college, it really says about all I have to say about this election, which is I have spent most of my adult life trying to help somebody find a job, start a business, get a raise, save a farm, get education and health care for their families, and bring people together so that we'd have less fighting and more progress. And here's what I know. If America worked more like this community college, we'd be way better off. Now think about it. It's open to everybody without regard to race, religion, income, politics, abilities and disabilities, sexual orientation, whether or not you got a tattoo. Like the whole deal. It's an open, democratic, small D place. It focuses on empowering people through knowledge they can use when they leave here to make a decent living. It's sensitive to the changing opportunities in the economy, so the curriculum will change from term to term, so people are learning something they can actually use to improve their prospects. I was the first American president ever to give a commencement speech at a community college. I did it because I believed it was a metaphor for our future, because I believe what Hillary said in this campaign when she and Tim Kaine run on stronger together. And everybody here, just think about this when you wander out today. That slogan is not just about politics, it's about a way of thinking and a way of living. And I really believe that that's what this is about. I've tried to run for her on her behalf when I've gone around on my little bus tours in rural Iowa and rural Ohio, and I'm going to do one in Pennsylvania and Western Pennsylvania. I'm about to go to North Florida and do one. And I've been going, I did a couple stops in New Hampshire yesterday. I just try to tell people why they ought to be for her. Why she'd be a good president, what's in it for you and your children and grandchildren, why it will be better for our future. There's been quite enough acid poured down the throat of the American people in the last 15 months to last us for the next 15 years. What we need to talk about is what we're going to do. So here's my pitch. Here's where we are in this crazy world of ours. You live in the most interdependent age in human history. Interdependence can be good or bad or both. It means that thanks to information technology and other factors, most of our borders look more like nets than walls most of the time. It means we can become more vulnerable to people who want to break the law or stage episodic acts of terror. It also means if we're good at what we do, everybody wants to be here and contribute here and create jobs here and put other people back to work here and build a whole new future here. I just turned 70. I was thinking about this campaign. Stronger together versus make America great again. Now folks, I'm the 70-year-old white guy that was born in Arkansas at the end of World War II, in the South, where the per capita income was barely half the national average. I know what great again means. It means vote for me, and I will make all your problems go away by giving you the economy you used to have. And oh, by the way, I will move you back up on the social totem pole. Now, that's like me saying, I'd like to be 20 again. First of all, actually I would like to be 20 again. But just because I want to see what's going to happen, I think you're on the verge of the greatest period of discovery and shared prosperity in our history if we do the right things. I'm not pessimistic about the future. We have more assets for the future than any country on earth. So I would like to be 20 again, but I would not vote for anyone who promised to make me 20 again. First. Second, since that message is aimed at my socioeconomic group, and I grew up the first person in my family ever to go to college, my favorite relatives were my grandfather and great uncle, who had about a 6th grade education and were both whip smart. I hope I'll be the last president ever lived in a farmhouse without indoor plumbing. It makes a great line at the rally in 2016. Trust me, in the wintertime, the outhouse is overrated. And in the summertime, if you live in the South, it's even more overrated because then you gotta look for the snakes. But why am I telling you this? I understand the campaign on the other side. The worst thing in the world we could do is to promise people who have had a tough time, who haven't had a pay raise in 15 years, who look in the mirror every day and think they can't improve their prospects, that we're going to give them the economy they had yesterday, which can't be done, and that we're going to move them up on the social totem pole at somebody's expense. Hillary wants to tear the social totem pole down so we can all go forward together. Like a community college. Now look, if I were 20, and I got one of those magic lanterns, you know, and a genie came out and said, you can live wherever you want to live 30 years from now, but you got to decide right now. I picked the United States in a heartbeat for the following reason. Not because we don't have any problems, but because of our promise. We're the youngest, most diverse workforce in the world. Look around this crowd. Do you think this crowd looked like this 30 years ago? Youth and diversity matter in a global economy. And not just racial, ethnic, and religious diversity, but also diversity of skills and ways of thinking and ways of problem solving. First. Second, we have the best system of higher education and training of any big country in the world. We just need to adopt the plan that Hillary worked out with Senator Bernie Sanders after they ran against each other, which basically said free community college tuition for everybody, free 4-year college tuition to families with an income of $125,000 a year or less, debt-free graduation for everybody else in public and private schools, and for the people who already have debt, first, stop the practice in America where college loans are the only loans you cannot refinance. Let everybody refinance. That is a 20 million people more than 2,000 apiece. And then give young people the option either to work it off through community service work or to pay it off through a mortgage-like instrument where you can never, even if you borrow $200,000 to go to medical school, you can never be required to pay more than 10% of your after-tax income a month. Now, we got that. We are energy independent, and our energy is cheaper than most places, and we rank first or second in the world in the ability to generate electricity from the sun, the wind, and other clean resources. Guess who's got the cheapest electricity in America? Iowa. Why? They they have the highest percentage in wind. Once you pay for the windmill, it's free. And it makes a big difference in growing manufacturing jobs and starting small businesses and doing all these things. So we're in pretty good shape here. Do we have problems? Yes. There are still too many people who haven't gotten a pay raise since the crash. Yes, another big problem we've got is that small business lending has dropped way off, and small business starting has dropped way off. And when I served as president, there was never a single year we weren't in the top 5 countries in the entire world in the startup of small businesses. Hillary wants us to be in the top 5 again, and is going to do something to make credit more available and risk taking more available. We got to fix that. She's the only person who's actually offered, among other things, a public option. So there's a competitive price for health care everywhere, and to let people 55 and over buy into Medicare, which will not mess up anybody's Medicare because it's so big. If you get a couple of sick people out of every 200 or 300, it won't interrupt the rate structure. She's the only person you can vote for who's actually said, this is the problem, let's get small business lending right now. She's the only person you can vote for who said, let's dramatically increase loans and guarantees for Small Business Administration. Let's cut the costs and paperwork and burden of making small business loans for banks that are in the small business lending business, not in the gambling the future of America from Wall Street on Main Street business. We shouldn't weaken the regulation at the top, we should weaken it at the bottom so new creative businesses can be formed. Just remember, in the last 20 years, including the whole time I was president, 2/3 of our new jobs have come from smaller businesses, and 80% of the small business created jobs are created in the first 5 years of a small business's life. Then they tend to, either sell out to a bigger business or stabilize their market. So this is a job, being president. It matters if you have any ideas that make common sense and can really get something done. I'll give you several other ideas. She believes, Hillary does, we can bring back manufacturing in America if we can keep energy prices down. And we can pay manufacturing workers a lot of money because they're highly productive. The only variations in are materials, which are pretty well constant in their cost, and transportation. America's got the biggest market in the world right here. Why not bring the jobs home? Now, the real problem you see with America today is no longer on Wall Street, it's in corporate suites. You saw it in the Carrier air conditioning case. You all remember this? Carrier Air Conditioning in Indiana making furnaces. It's a unionized operation that made, listen to this, that made, not lost, made $2.9 billion last year. Billion. And the profit margins on the furnaces were going up. So the workers were doing a fine job. And the board of Carrier votes to shut down 2,100 jobs, throw them under the bus, and move to Mexico, allegedly, because they'll save more money. And guess what? The union said, no, you won't. That's $65 million a year. We make $2.9 billion. We'll save you the money. Leave the jobs here. They refused to talk to them. Why? Because company after company after company in America is now under the control of activist shareholders. They used to be called corporate raiders, who want their money back in a year and a day. Even though I could fill this beautiful room with economic studies showing that if you run a business to maximize profits, you'll run it for what's good over 5 to 7 years. You'll take care of your workers and your customers and your communities and your shareholders. No, that's not what they wanted. They said, we'll save you the money. They said, no, we want to throw these people under the bus so we can get our lower capital gains rate in a year and a day. So Hillary says, we should change the law. You shouldn't be able to get all that money in a year and a day. If you try to move overseas when you're making money, you ought to get to give back every red cent you got from any state, local, or national government program. And you shouldn't be able to send the products back here, not if you're making money. However, we should actually lower taxes on good businesses. So I propose to raise it on the people that are sticking it to the working people of America and their families, and lower the taxes on people who will share their profits fairly with their employees, spend money on training their employees and improving their productivities, and take advantage of whopping tax credits to invest in places like rural Pennsylvania, coal country, Indian country, areas that have been left out and left behind. If they're willing to put people back to work where they haven't had jobs in a month or something, we should lower their taxes. Now, like I said, I've been doing this half my life. I think that will work. And so I want you to vote for Hillary because she got the best economic plan. I want you to vote for her because she's got a plan for an inclusive society, both to deal with the challenges of health care and the burden of college debt, but to expand voting rights and not restrict them, to protect labor rights and not break them, to be sensitive to everybody who lives in this society and not make fun of them. There's more demonstrators outside than there are people inside. They're screaming at me. I say, come on guys, you did real well when I was president. Come inside and scream at me. So we all get in there. And I said, look, I know you're not going to vote for her. And so did she, and she still sent me down here to say the following. One is, no matter what you think, President Obama did not cause your current difficulties. Coal employment east of the Mississippi peaked in 1920. Coal production east of the Mississippi peaked in 1950. Then you started losing market share when coal was found in Wyoming. It was closer to the surface and cheaper to bring up with lower sulfur content. Then there's the small matter of natural gas, with which you were quite familiar in Pennsylvania, right? Then, whatever you think about global warming, the winters kept getting warmer, so countries that didn't care what the sulfur content of American coal was stopped ordering it because it wasn't so cold. So I said, so here's what she told me to tell you. If you think you can do that and have that economy you had 50 years ago, you have that. Vote for whatever you want to. But if she wins, she's coming back for you. And we're going to make investments here that will give you a chance to make a new beginning. And your children to make a new beginning. You shouldn't have to move to make a living. And it doesn't matter who you vote for, America needs you in the future. And that's the candidate I support. The person I'm so proud of her, she wanted me to do this. And it was fun. Heck, I don't mind being demonstrated against. But I mean, we stopped talking to people who disagree with us. It's a terrible mistake. Don't you think we all love our kids? Don't you think we all want the best for our grandkids? Don't you think in our heart of hearts we know it would be better if our country worked like a community college? That's how stronger together means. So, I want to leave you on an upbeat note here. Hillary and I have a friend from Austin, Texas, who's been our friend for 44 years. And he's the best guy I ever met at just putting everything into one sentence. And leaving you feeling enough about it, not doubt. So I called him the other day and I said, God, there's been a lot of acid poured down people's throat in this campaign. I said, tell me a way to summarize what's at stake that make people laugh. And he didn't even quit. He said, he didn't take a breath. He said, tell them if you don't want someone to drive a truck off a cliff, do not give them the keys. Here's what I want to say. You ought to give Hillary the keys. Because if you give her the keys, this is the first thing she'll do. First, she'll go to the back of the truck, open it up, and put All Americans on, and then she'll drive it straight up to the top of a new mountain, which is exactly where we need to go together. Thank you.